think we've gone through about 4 strategies of things to do, but I was intrigued by something you said, which was to know how to avoid common mistakes. What do you see as common mistakes that people make in career transitions?
So, I mean, the first is, we talked about it, be realistic.
Yeah.
I mean, A, this is not easy. B, it can take time. You may fail. You may go down a path that doesn't work, so you have to regroup. But you've got to know that you're going to make it. It's going to be okay, but you've got to be realistic about it. And, you know, very closely connected is be patient. Right. Because it can take time.
It's a hard one sometimes.
You know, lightning could strike, and it does. Right. But more likely, you're going to have to navigate this and figure it out and give yourself enough time and enough space to do it. And that's why, you know, project work is actually an interesting way to keep yourself busy as you go through this, because oftentimes that can turn into something that you don't expect.
Right, right. Well, and also it seems like there's a phrase that you've used several times that I've always liked, which is embrace the serendipity, is that opportunities may come up. You may not be ready for them or even want them, or you may not think you want them, but you really should embrace them. And, you know, there's sort of 3 things that are connected. You know, A, you've got to be realistic, you've got to be patient, but you've also got to roll up your sleeves. Yeah. You may have to take a step back. You may have to do things that feel uncomfortable. Right. But again, you're trying to forge a way into something new. Right. And so, like anything new, you know, it's going to feel a little uncomfortable. You're going to have to do some things. Also, we always talk about the importance of teamwork, which is, of course, important. When you're pivoting, you have to think of yourself as a new worker, a new employee, and you want to figure out how you can make an individual impact. You want to show that you can make a contribution, and you want to make it in a way that lets people understand this is going to work. And be the team player, but also be very clear on what you're bringing to personal value. And then the serendipity is just... It's just something you've always said that I like. You know, it's actually, as I said, the career that is pivoting is going to be unique to everybody. And so one of the reasons that you want to be fluid and opportunistic is, you know, I look at my own career. I could never have written down law to investment banking to government to, you know, media to venture capital. You know, you would never have seen that. It's a combination of following what you're interested in, but being nimble. And when the opportunity comes up, so media is a really good example, and this is kind of another thing for career pivots that I think people should just keep in mind. I got an opportunity to go into media precisely because I knew nothing about it. And it was a situation where there had been an attempt to create a new market, and the people who knew a lot about that market were very rigid in their thinking, and they said, I know how to do this, and of course it's a new market, so sometimes knowledge can be an obstacle, not not a plus. So they were glad you were clueless. They were glad I didn't know anything. And so again, you know, that's being nimble. Like I didn't expect that I could walk into an opportunity in media because I knew nothing about media. I had no media in my background. I got lucky. Found something that was. So I think it's just keeping your eyes open, being receptive to things that you hadn't thought of, but that might work, and trying them. And the other thing you said, which I don't want to, you know, skip over, is the get your hands dirty. Like you may, if you're making a career transition or pivot, you may have to do something that you may think was below you, or that your skills were beyond. Exactly. But you do it.
You do it because you know where you're going. And you know, the thing that's interesting about this whole area is we're talking a lot about what an individual needs to do to be successful in a career pivot. Employers now have to think more broadly about people's career and how to evaluate that, because it's not going to look like it's always looked. And so the ability to understand that people are pursuing different things at different times, and to be able to assess and evaluate the quality of that individual, even though it's a lot harder than it used to be when you said, okay, they advanced up in 2.6 months, you know. And so I think it's a new skill for employers too, to be aware that this is happening at the rate that it's happening, and to adjust their own expectations and skills, honestly, in order to recognize the great talent that's out there that is pursuing a different path.
It really does feel like a new normal.
I think we're going to see more and more people who, both again by choice or by happenstance, are finding themselves looking to make a career pivot, and I think they should feel excited about that opportunity and excited about where it might take them.